Howdy, Internet. Today we are going to do a quick Bridge Doctor install on this Takamine. As I do it, I'm going to kind of detail some of the kind of tips and tricks I've learned over doing a bunch of these. And so let's get started. One thing I do to kind of size these up so that we can get the spacing of the little plastic cylinder piece is put a light inside the guitar and kind of use it to shine up through the bridge tin holes, and then I'll set this inside and kind of angle it. I already did this before off camera. I need to widen this so that it fits a little better. And what you're of course looking for is that the front of this sits on the bridge plate even with the even with this, and both are touching the bridge plate, and that as you look through the holes that you don't see the white plastic piece, because obviously you don't want the pins to hit it. And then I have a little tool I like to use to mount these, or to measure the mark to drill. So for this one, it's going to take it in the complete wide position. This is the standard Bridge Doctor. This isn't the wide one, but we're going to have to put the plastic piece here for it to fit correctly. So with the light inside, I can kind of see through the holes. And then as I put this in place, I got plenty of room, and I have even some room for a margin of error as far as where it sits exactly forwards and backwards in here. All right, so for this, on this guitar, I think the bridge pins, one of them's different. So for this, you need to definitely have two matching bridge pins. And then I'm going to use these the actual bridge pins to reference off of for the what am I trying to say? For the mark I'm going to put to drill a hole to install the Bridge Doctor. And what I use is a transfer punch. And so I grabbed a transfer punch that's the exact same diameter as the little plastic threaded dowel piece. And so I use that to reference. You see me now, I'm about to make the mark, to reference the hole of where I want to actually put this. And then this does a good job of basically puts it exactly where I want it. On 12-string guitars, I will actually, and then I'll show this maybe in another stream later when I get a 12-string in here to do this procedure. So I've done these more on 12 strings than 6 strings. Is I will actually like undersize this just slightly, and then I'll have to detail it in the future to where I can actually kind of move and precisely put the mark I need to put to start drilling so I can bore this hole for this. And then that's how I mark the hole. I don't do any fancy measuring or anything. I just use a transfer punch. I love these. Since I've gotten a set of these, I use them a lot more than I ever thought I would for this kind of work. Now that I've made my mark, I'll push the holes out, the pins out, excuse me. And then I'm going to go behind with, of course, with a brad point bit, and this is a 1/4-inch brad point bit, exactly what the instructions say. Always read the instructions. I glance over them again every time I do a Bridge Doctor install, and I've done about 20 of these, if not more. I lost count of how many of these I've done. I like to go in with the tip of the bit and just kind of make that mark I made with the transfer punch just a little bit more prominent. It's kind of obvious, but as you drill, you want to make sure you're completely perpendicular with the top of the guitar. You don't want to compensate for the slope of the bridge back here. It kind of slopes down this way. You don't want to compensate the angle for that. You do that by sanding the little inlay dot. Let me see, it should be right here. You can kind of make that blend in later by sanding the inlay dot at an angle. And I'll do that slightly for this. I'll show you that's done. It's pretty simple. So I've got my mark. I made it a little bit deeper with the tip of the brad point. I'm about to chuck up that bit. I'm going to double check the instructions on how deep, and it says 1/8 of an inch deep to accommodate the screw head and filler dot. So I like to measure with the micrometer. And then zero it out on a flat surface. And then double check your zero. And then I'm going to advance it 1/8 of an inch. There we go. And I'm going to lock it into place. And then I'm going to drill and just peck at it until, and keep checking with the depth of this to make sure I go the correct depth. And since this is at a slope, one side's going to be, of course, how should I do it? One side is going to be more so at an angle. So what I do is I go the depth of the taller side, because I will shave the inlay dot to kind of match that slope in the back. So you don't have half the dot covered and the other half sticking up because the wood has sloped away from it. Let's do it. Let me check up this drill bit. I know the instructions say don't use a drill, do it by hand, but I have specifically picked this drill. That's why I have such an old school drill, because a lot of the modern, the other drill I have that plugs in, I don't like using the cordless ones because the batteries are never charged when I need them to be. But the other corded drill I have, you can't control the speed with the trigger. It's either full blast or off. And so with this drill, I know it's old, or kind of like this older style, but I can vary the speed of it with the trigger pull. And so I'm confident enough to do this with an electric drill. Although, if you do this, you should probably follow the instructions and do it by hand. All right, and now straight up and down, and then we're going to bore this with the proper bit. This is a brad point bit, 1/4 inch brad point bit. And we're going to bore this 1/8 of an inch deep. Careful. I think that's right at it. I think we did it. Wow, first try. I think I just got it to the correct depth. Yeah, we're there. Wow, cool. That never happens first time. Usually I got to like drill and then measure and then drill and then measure, you know. I got it that time though. Well, that was easy. The next step is, I pulled this out earlier. To drill the actual like hole that the threads of the screw go down, it takes a 9/64 drill bit, which is a kind of odd sounding size, very specific size. But that's what it takes. The brad point bit was a 1/4 inch. That's all this is in the instructions of the JLD Bridge Doctor. Check up this 9/64 inch drill bit. Chuck it properly. And with this, you have to align it with the tip, and then sometimes I'll come in here with tweezers and clear out some of the actual debris of this bridge. So I can see that referenced hole for the center point of the brad point bit made. And actually, I'm going to spin this bit backwards at first so that it can kind of index itself to that hole. Because if you're not careful, if you just kind of go at it, the bit will walk. And so you then have two misaligned holes. So I stuck it in there, centered it, and then ran it in reverse. Now I'm going to actually plunge forward with this. Going slow. Nice and slow, nice and easy. And there it is. Oh, but wait, Richard, what about tear out? I've never had a problem with it. This is the 20th one I've done. The 9/64 inch screw is too small to really do much damage in there. And then, yeah, me reaching in here, it's like zero tear out at all. Wipe the dust away. I guess the main trick to take away from this is if you're going to do these and do a lot of them, get you a set of transfer punches. And not just one. You're going to want a set because in future videos, I'll show you how to kind of size these and reference it off the bridge pins. Because sometimes you're going to want it closer than what I actually had it. Sometimes you're going to want it to actually touch the back of the bridge pins because that's all the space you got. Like especially on the G series 12 strings, you really have to get it as close as you can to the bridge pins to really make that thing fit. Otherwise, it ends up being too far back, and then there's not enough meat on the bridge, and they can break out. Clean out the hole. Use a good brad point bit when you do this. That way you get a nice clean cut on top. This should kind of fit just right in there, and it does. Before I go screwing this in there, I always try to remove the little hex screw ahead of time because it's just one step that's easier to do outside of the guitar. The other thing I'll do is sometimes these rods they're not manufactured like 100% to spec. Sometimes they are a little irregular. So what I do before I actually put this in the guitar, I will run the rod through the Bridge Doctor a couple times just to kind of, because sometimes I have met a lot of resistance. And when you try to do this inside the guitar, when you start to do the other steps of this process, oops, it's backwards, that you'll notice it starts to become like really hard, and then you're pushing and then you're wiggling and you're like, okay. And then it just happens to be that this hole and the rod are actually like binding slightly. But if you run them through a bit, it kind of, it works itself into place. Okay, so the next step is I'm going to screw this in, and then we'll do the measurements for the rod and cut the rod and all that good stuff. All the instructions are detailed, and they're provided when you get a Bridge Doctor. Screwdriver. One tool I didn't grab ahead of time. Well, probably the one of many. All right, screw this in. Oh, on these with this style pickup, they have a little tab that sticks out right in front of where the pickup is inside, and it holds the wire. And so you just take that tab and you just bend it down. It's just like a little metal tab that it's like a wire clip, and you just bend it out of the way. Carefully, of course. Get this screwed in there. Nice and firm. Grab my mirror and look at it. Add some extra light inside so I can actually see. It's actually kind of on the edge of the bridge plate. I'm going to see if I can make it fit. I'm going to make it skinnier again and see if I can get it to fit on the other size. So sometimes you do have to resize these. I'm going to see which way it fits better. I didn't exactly like what I saw in there. I'll show you when I pull this out. This was kind of hanging off the bridge plate a little bit, so I'm going to move this in, and hopefully there's enough space in between here to where I can get it to where this part is on the bridge plate and not forward, or else we're going to have a tipping motion, and we don't want that. We want both of these to be flat on the bridge plate because they are under tension. All right, let me remove this. I'm going to bring it in. Oh, yeah, we got it now. I think that's going to be way better. Move that in for a better fit. This is almost going to be almost snug, but this is good. This is a better fit than the other way. Check your progress. Oh, yeah, we're doing fine. Oh, yeah, that fits much better. I don't have a way to bring y'all in here to see it. Wish I did. Oh, yeah, that's perfect. Make sure it's kind of snug. And we're in. That part's mounted. Now, the tapered part, eventually, when it's all said and done, gets installed up against the screw like so. But the instructions detail when you measure it, you actually flip it around and make your mark and measure it. I'm going to do that now. And then after you cut it, you actually install it in this way with the taper touching the screw. And then now, since the part of the bridge doctor that attaches to the bridge is in place, you're going to put this in and get my measurements to mark it just as the instructions say, so that we can cut the rod to the proper size. And normally I do these on 12 strings to counter the tension, because I usually am asked to put 2 6-string sets on these Takamine 12 strings and that's a lot of tension. So I installed a Bridge Doctor to kind of counter the tension of those two 6-string sets. But in the case of this guitar, this is because the actual belly is kind of coming up. So to prevent any more of that, and to kind of make this guitar more stable, and I kind of recommend even Bridge Doctors for like performing musicians who aren't so worried about, you know, drilling the hole for the procedure. Especially down here in Texas, because if you're playing any outdoor gigs and you're in either the heat or the cold, that can make your guitar's tuning very unstable. And so this kind of helps keeps things in place and keeps things in tune better. It's another support. Trying to align this properly. I keep turning it the wrong way. Whoops. And then that rod actually goes right underneath the input jack. So that turned out good. All right, now I'm going to get in here and mark it with my trusty mechanical pencil that always seems to run out of lead when I'm on camera. Oh, here we go. So with the rod in there in place, we reach in here. And we make a reference mark of where the actual rod meets the Bridge Doctor on this side. And then we pull it out and we have this mark. But that's not where you cut. The instructions say you cut it 3 inches shorter than the mark. So we're going to take that. We're going to measure in 3/8. Move this drill. Made a little dot there at 3/8. And that's where I'll cut. Slide this down a little so I have room over there to cut. Got me a little miter box and a hacksaw for this. There we go. It doesn't take much to cut the excess off. And then the instructions say to clean this up with some sandpaper. I use my little sanding platform. And then for the edge, I will just kind of pull and spin it so that it kind of rounds the edge back here. But you want it too rounded. You just want to break off you just want to clean up the cut. There we go, cut and sanded. Now, it doesn't go in this direction, it goes in this direction. The tapered end goes against the screw. And so, let's install it. If you put the tapered end against the heel block, the rod will wander as you tighten up on it, and then it'll pop loose, and then you don't have any support. You just have something attached to the underside of your bridge. Let me make sure that made it in the correct spot. Oh yeah, we're there. Maybe it needs to go a little bit over this way. There it is. We're going to get the screw in now, tighten up on it so it has a little tension on it. Of course, you drop it. Try it again. And then the instructions say you don't crank it down. You just tighten it to where you can't spin that rod I cut with your fingers. So I tighten it till I'm not able to spin that rod. I'm going to double check, make sure it's in the right spot now that I'm putting pressure on it. Ooh, that's perfect. I'm going to tighten it up a little more. I can still kind of spin it. There we go. Now this is going to stabilize the guitar's top, stabilize the tuning. Cool. That's pretty much in there. All I got to do is do the filler dot. I kind of like to do the filler dot after I string it. Put the bridge back. This one is taking the new DR Dragon Skin Plus size 11s. I have never tried these before. I'm kind of excited because these are supposed to be awesome. Let's give it a whirl. I also did a fret job on this job prior to installing the Bridge Doctor. If y'all are interested in seeing fret work, let me know in the comment section. I don't know how interesting that would be because it took me 3 hours to, well, I took breaks in between it. So really about 2 hours of working time, you know, kind of working at a comfortable pace to level, crown, and polish these frets. They had some divots on the higher strings and I took them down, got rid of those divots and then recrowned and polished it. Also made it more level, made the frets more level than I believe they probably ever were. All right, DR. DR makes good strings. They're not as popular as the other brands, but their strings are great. I've never tried these Dragon Skin Plus, though. They feel nice. These are coated, and already I can kind of tell. I can't feel the coating. Like the prior version of the Dragon Skins, you kind of could. It kind of felt like they had a plastic coating on them, which you get used to. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But these, to the touch, don't feel coated, which is great. It's kind of like the best of both worlds. Do a lot of Bridge Doctors. Going to run the pencil through the nut slots, lubricate the nut slots, and to clean out any debris. I like how on these this is normal on a lot of these Takamines. They don't glue the nut in from the factory. They're all pretty loose, which is good because they always fit very well. And like if you have the strings on the guitar, you don't have to worry about it falling out. But yeah, most Takamines I've come across, they don't glue their nut in from the factory. That's normal. Made it easy for the fret job. I didn't have to rip the nut out to do the frets. So I understand that some parts of this stream are straightforward and very similar. You know, you're repeatedly, I'm going to be stringing guitars on camera, but the point is not necessarily to showcase that. It's to do Q&A while I work on guitars. So other than just staring at me, you can actually see me do something while I answer questions from the public. That's kind of what I'm gearing these for, is while I am working on guitars and showcasing some of my skills and some of the products I sell, like the JLD Bridge Doctor, like the DR Dragon Skin Plus. Also answer questions people may have about gear, about guitars, about music, about the store. That's what I'm hoping for. Get the E string going. Actually, after this string, I'm going to go ahead and glue the inlay dot in. I don't think I'll have to shave it because of the way that this hole ended up. I think it's going to be just fine. And of course, I can't find it when I need it. I guess we could play Blue's Clues. Where's the inlay? Trust me, I'm a professional. Where'd it go? Oh well. String a couple more strings, maybe it'll show up. So as far as the store goes, we're a PV dealer, we're electro-harmonics dealer. Jim Dunlop, MXR Way Huge, Elixir, GHS, Seymour Duncan, Fishman LR Bags, Dan Electro, Joyo, Heaton, Stag, On-Stage Stands, and a bunch of other brands. Sell the Honer harmonicas. All this can be found on the website, afterthoughtsmusicstudio.com, or you can purchase musical items and accessories, and we'll ship them to you. Gonna get this guitar strung up, maybe play a few notes on it. I'm kind of excited to hear how these strings are. Let's do the newest, latest, and greatest. We sell these Power Peg Pros. I'm out of stock of them right now, but I'll have more in the future. Two more strings left, and then we'll tune it up while I look for that inlay dot. If not, I'll grab another one. It's just a basic 1/4-inch inlay dot that comes in these kits. And then, of course, after I grab another one, I'll find the one that I lost. That's how it goes, right? got the strings on. Let me find a tuner. Let me find that inlay dot. Oh, here it is. No, it's not. That's a piece of packaging. Hello.
Do y'all sell mouthpieces for a baritone? My son is starting marching band and he plays the baritone.
Yes.
I believe it used to be the euphonium. So the little mouthpieces that he has don't fit. And I keep reading that the trombone ones also go for the baritone.
I think that's the case.
Okay, yeah, this is the one that I keep seeing. Can I see it? Okay, the one that he has now, this is this is small.
A short shank?
I think this, do you have the ones that are like long?
That's what I have. All the other than that is trumpet. I think that is the long shank. If there's the short shank, I think it's small.
Oh, this was a small shank.
Okay, yeah.
Large shank.
Okay.
So this is all you have then?
I have about.
This looks almost like the one he has now. And when he sticks it in, it's like it's small.
Oh, okay.
In diameter.
Okay.
Yeah. And it says 6.5 on here. This was a 12C. But everywhere when I looked online earlier, I was even 12C and then in the same description it said 6.5.
I'm about to order more of those soon, so I'm gonna get more anyway. But if you don't find it, then check back with me. Maybe not, but I probably won't be.
Yeah. I don't even know how to. I guess I would need to break this instrument. That would maybe but this is the instrument.
Well, if for whatever reason a short shank trombone mouthpiece fits, let's have one. Other than that, that's all I have, unfortunately.
And I'm assuming if I buy it and it doesn't fit, do you have a return policy?
It's kind of hard. Well, as long as it's not used.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would just
Like
put
if
it
you
in
just
if it
didn't bring it back. But the thing is, it's the mouth nature of these devices. Yeah, bring the instrument with it.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that then. Thank you. So, are you open the weekend?
Yeah, Saturdays.
Saturdays. Okay, I'll probably have this Saturday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that. My helper is sick today. So if y'all could, wish her a recovery, speedy recovery. She has like a cold or something. Turn this up. I still can't find that inlay dot. Well, when I do find the inlay dot, I like to use fish glue to glue it in. Fish glue, I think bonds wood to plastic a little bit better than wood glue bonds wood to plastic. Also, for whatever reason, it's water soluble. I can get it out of there in the future if I ever have to do any repairs to the actual Bridge Doctor itself, or have to like remove it to service it or for any reason. In the future, fish glue would be easy to separate the bond with, steam and water, heat and water. I may have to adjust the truss rod on this guitar because I had to adjust the truss rod to do the fret job. And I didn't put it back yet. If I start cleaning up, I'll find it. Hello, little inlay. Where'd you go? Wow, these strings do sound good. I think I need to loosen the truss rod just a hair. I'm going to clip the excess. I need to get more mouthpieces and band accessories in before the season starts. Well, I can't find the inlay. Let me grab another one and just glue that one in. Here we go. And then as far as the last trick for the Bridge Doctor is I keep a piece of tape handy and then I'll dry fit it, which I may not have to sand on this one, but if I did, I'll explain the process. No, that fits good. So I like dry fit it in there, and if it's hard to get out, I use a piece of tape to get it out like so. Watch it not work. Of course not. Let's try it again. Let's see, do I have stronger tape? Usually it pulls it right out. Let's see what I can do. See if electrical tape's more tackier. Or if it doesn't come out, I guess I could just leave it. It's not going to come out. It's a great fit. Okay, I'll get it out of there. Well, off camera, I'm going to pull that out and just glue it with a little dab of fish glue so it stays in there good. I hope you enjoyed watching me install a Bridge Doctor on this guitar. Hopefully you learned something. If you can, like, share, and subscribe. And shop Afterthoughts Music Studio. And have a great day. Thank y'all.